here we have from MR Slot Car, the Jaguar XJ220C. And MR Slot Car has done a fantastic job making a slot car based on the original car that raced at Le Mans 1993 in the GT class. But this is one of three that I believe, maybe four. The fourth one was a backup car, but the three cars that were built for racing by Tom Walkinshaw Racing, who had previous wins in 88 and 90 for the Jaguar brand. And he had exclusive knowledge of the power plant in the real world car, which was I believe a 3.5 liter V6 turbocharged engine that was capable of something like 800 and plus horsepower. But it was, there were three teams, and this particular car, they did pretty well. This car wasn't ready for, when they did test laps, but the first two cars did very well. And when the race actually started, two of the other cars, one of them had right off the bat, very soon in the race, had major engine problems, I think something to do with the head gasket, and it was retired. The second car of the three that were entered into Le Mans, it had a blowout, as I understand, a tire blowout, and it didn't wreck, but the process of limping back to the pits caused damage to the cooling system, and they just couldn't repair it. And then so finally that left this car that was driven by a former Le Mans winner, John Nielsen, and then at the time Grand Prix drivers, David Brabham and David Cuthard. This car had an issue, I believe, with the fuel system. I think it was a fuel leak or something. So things were not looking good for the Jaguar team. But fortunately for them, so did some of the other teams, particularly Porsche. So they got this car back on the track, and it ended up winning the GT class, and I believe 15th overall, which is amazing. But unfortunately, there was a big stink about not running with catalytic converters, and even though the car passed scrutineering at the beginning, they ultimately ended up revoking the win for this team in this car, which, kind of stinks. But here we go. Let's take a look at this. And MR Slot Car has done, look at the paint work. I mean, look at the colors, all the detail. Very, very close to the real world car. Even the wheels, if you look at some pictures, you can always find amazing facts and details about these cars, these real world cars that these are modeled after, and get a lot of history. I love the racing history, love racing in general, but the details and the colors, I'm not the one that's gonna scrutineer every little detail. Oh, this is the wrong size. This is out of, like these exhaust pipes look overwhelmingly too big to me, but it doesn't detract from the car at all for me. And, but all the little details just always boggles my mind how they're able to get all of this detail into these cars. And there's that beautiful classic front end for the XJ220. Just fantastic. There we go, back up a little bit. But then underneath, you can see it's an angle winder configuration. Angle winder is where it's what we call a long can motor that's just angled, from the rear axle. And that angle allows you to put a longer, again, long can motor in a car and give you more room in other places. And then the motor pod is there. It has an adjustable front axle height, which is so critically important to make sure that the wheel height is not too low or too high to help stabilize the car. And the guide looks is very good. This car, it comes in analog form, configuration, I should say. So it'll run on Scalextric, analog, Carrera analog, or really any analog 1/32 scale track. And I have installed a digital decoder chip in here to enable me to run it on my Carrera Digital track. And you can see you have to drill the chassis. Some cars come with a 3mm hole already drilled for you. This car did not. So I had to, and you can see I'm learning. And this is one of the first cars I did. And I just had the hole slightly too far in, and it wasn't tripping the sensors on the track every time. So yeah, a little botch job there, but all is good in the end. And I got the sensor where it needs to be. But let's get the body off the chassis so you can see what's going on underneath. Okay, I've got the body off the chassis, and let's see, I'll show you the underside of the body. Very lightweight indeed. And you can see something's missing here. Well, I had to take the interior out to get the chip to fit. So I didn't want to cut the interior to make it fit. So it was very simple just to remove it. And that way I don't damage it in any way. But the benefit of that also, even it's weight reduction. So that's always a good thing when you can reduce weight on a slot car. So as you can see, nothing too beautiful here. The digital decoder chip that I went with, so that's to enable cars to run on digital Carrera high performance motors. As I understand, the standard Carrera digital decoder that's in standard Carrera cars, the motors in Carrera cars are not considered high performance, meaning they run, I think, somewhere under 18,000 RPM. But when you get into cars such as this by MR Slot Car, the motors are a bit higher performance. This one's, I believe, around 22,000 RPM. There's a chance it could burn out those original Carrera trips. So these third-party manufacturers, their chips, their decoders, can handle the additional draw of the more high performance motors. So this chip goes in easily, but, and you can see, I just use hot glue to secure the sensor here. And it holds it very well. And then, but if you want to remove the chip, install it in another car, you know, it pulls off easily without causing any damage. But very clean, very simple layout. You can see the angle winder gears, all aluminum or aluminium, as our friends across the pond would say. And I got the axle height adjusted. You can see the set screws or grub screws that allow you to adjust the vertical height of that front axle, just so those tires are making just slight contact with the track, but not really supporting the weight of the car so that it would interfere with the guide doing its job. But there you are. Nice and simple, very clean, very lightweight chassis. All right, let's get the body back on and see what kind of lap times we can come up with. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, these are the original tires. I trued them up, or I put them on my tire truer to sand the tires. These tires sanded, trued up very nicely. So that has also been done. Just I thought I'd mention that real quick. There you go, very impressive. A lap time of 7.05. I have found and learned on this track of mine, anything getting even remotely close to 7 seconds is very quick. And all of that without the use of a traction magnet. I feel like I'll only improve that time the more I drive this car. But there you go, MR Slot Cars, Jaguar XJ220C, Unipart Racing. Very cool. Pick one up if you see one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.